as well what your internal and external communication style is. So I like the first thing to make people, when they're starting new in our organisation, I sit them down and I say, look, our communication style is open, honest, and direct. Right? I don't have time to work through the nuances of what might be going on. I don't like. Actually, here's a culture thing. Is in France and in a French culture, it's quite rude. It's rude to be direct. It's rude to say, look, I need this, I want this tomorrow, or whatever else. That's rude. It's arrogant. It's demanding. And it's not the way the French people work. And I just. Look guys, I don't have time for that, right? You can do that in France. Here, I need you to do this. Now, I'm not being rude to you, so everybody knows what our communications are. When I'm dealing with customers, I'd say, boom, right, this is what the story is. Look, I hope you don't mind if I'm direct here. I want to say this.
I have a question there. So, relating to what you said, it's really important for us to know if you have certain processes or tools that you're using for somebody, for example, that is new in your organization to get to learn your culture there. One aspect would be indeed the way you do communicate with them. Do you have, for me, because all of us, we are students here, we'll be really in to know some checklists if you have, we have to do, in order for the first person that comes here, you have to do that, and that, so he's gonna know our culture. Do you have such things or tools?
Yeah. So, well, actually, in terms of the way we train people in everything that we do, like in the beginning we used to do this thing of, right, sit down there now, 3 weeks, I'm going to teach you everything. Learn all that, learn all that, learn all that. So, and then 4th week, you don't remember all the stuff I told you in the first week. What? So it didn't work, right? So now what we do is we take something and we show somebody how to do it, get them off to do that, repeat it a couple of times, now let that part off. At the next bit, at the next bit. Now, exactly the same with communications, right? And the way we deal with that. So, first of all, it is really, the organisations that choose to work with us are a valuable asset to our company, right? They are not as valuable, but they're an asset just as well as the customers that choose to work with the company are a valuable asset. Right? So, in terms of no new person is allowed immediately start communicating with any of my suppliers. Right? They have to be trained on how to address them and how to, and how to work them, and they work with somebody who does that. And then after a period of time, they see how the supplier communication works. And then the customer communication is much the same. They see how the customer communication works. And only after a period of time are they allowed, communicate directly with the customer, and both with suppliers and
you touched on word stock. Relation to, that was the first time that you had experienced outsourcing. What was that process like, and did you have a template to follow, and how does that translate it on to now? So
well, that was WordStar, and that was a very exciting company, to work for. And no, there was no templates, it was make it up as you go. Like, there was no rules, there was no I think at that stage, intern and email was something, wow, that's so much better.
I think probably, what's interesting just on that, where we probably have learned stuff, right? Well, we both look very young and handsome, right? We're both very young, right? So we started off in the 80s. Now, in communication in those days, I was transferring files from here to America using a thing called disk fax, which was basically a fax machine that would photocopy disks, take the data off a disk and send it over to somewhere else. So in terms of the communication, you had to learn how to be exceptionally fast and sharp with communication. When I was phoning the guys to say, we might have only had an hour to catch the guys. So probably from those days, you learned how to think about what you were saying before you said it. So as I always, another cliche is, listen to yourself as you're speaking. Sometimes you might say something to someone on the phone, and then, yeah, I think he did mean that, didn't he? Have you ever come off the phone and go, I think he said he was okay, and no, he's not okay, right? Because you can hear it, sometimes you can hear it in the tone of the voice and things like that. So you have to learn how to be very abbreviated. I'll give you an interesting one, actually, just on culture and communication. One thing I learned from my old days in semantic off Stephen, right? So Stephen used to have, 150 emails a day, and he said, this is how I operate. I read the first 3 lines, and if you can't say the first 3 lines, I ignore the rest of your email. Right? So that was his culture, that's what he was taught how to do. And that's how you read 150 emails. The rest is just detailed stuff that I send on to the engineers, right? So I had to learn, you communicated with him, you had to do that. Now, that now follows now. Everybody now is on Blackberries and all this high-tech malarkey, right? And I know there are guys that I communicate, because you can see it says at the bottom, this was sent from my Blackberry. I hate to tell you, but you can't read email on a Blackberry. You can read the first 3 lines, right? So if you're communicating with someone, it's like if you write a press release, the first 3 lines are the headlines. Big shock, we're going to ship on Friday, right? Then you go, oh, I might be interested in that, and then they'll read through. So you have to write almost like a press person, which is again old school, basically write like newspapers. Here's the headline, here's the data, and here's the summary of actions I want you to take, right? So even today, if I'm stuck, I go, yeah, okay, we've got a problem here, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, you want me to do this, done, right? So that's something you have to think about as well in terms of communication stuff.
Another question in the back?
You mentioned that you worked in other large companies before, and you said that you worked in this company. What kind of effect that the different cultures these companies had on your own company, or the fact that you think it's more personality driven since you over the last couple of years?
Well, I think you pick up, every culture you pick up different stuff. Semantic was very good in terms of the multicultural awareness. I then worked for another company.
We didn't call it Christmas, for example.
Yeah.
It was seasons.
Seasons,
So that's very interesting as well. Something just simple
American.